So, good afternoon. In fact, good morning or happy lunchtime to Lisa over in the US. Dave Holland here. Welcome to the Results Rules OK podcast. And pleasure to welcome as my guest today, Lisa Mustard from the USA I'm going to get this wrong, but North Carolina.
No, South
South
Carolina.
Carolina. Oh,
That's
so
okay.
close. So
That's
close. My
okay.
apologies. South
Very close.
Carolina. I'm not even going to say it's the same thing. I know that. But anyway, South Carolina, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Lisa, so what's it? You're in the USA, South Carolina. I've got that now.
Yeah.
And we want to know all about you. So tell us who's Lisa Mustard? Who are you? Where you from? What do you do? And how did you get here?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, Dave. This is really
Pleasure.
exciting to be a part of your one of your interviewees,
Oh,
I
you're
guess.
very kind. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So my name is Lisa Mustard, just
Mhm.
like you put on a hot dog for those in the States. I don't know. Maybe I should say a pretzel. I don't know in Europe what you put mustard on, but just like you put on a hot dog.
Uh-huh.
I am a mom. I'm a wife. I am a podcaster. I love fitness. I'm passionate about health and wellness and healthy aging.
Okay.
And I love to help women feel amazing in their skin and
Mhm.
rock their confidence and help them create a life that allows them more time with their families. Really, it's really what I love to do. And I do that in a number of ways. So that's it in a nutshell.
So, but you, so I mean, this, and I know we've sort of, I know you a little bit. We've connected and that sort of thing before. Did a bit of research, and there's clearly, just my observation, clearly a real passion about doing what you do, and whether it's the health and nutrition, well-being, and fitness. But what brought you to that? Because I think I'm right in saying I looked at some of the conversations you've had and some of your publications, and some of this that stuck out was you got to what I call a certain age, and you
Mhm.
decided, I think it was, you wanted to be able to do a number of pull-ups, bar pull-ups.
Right.
Where did that come from? Because
Yeah.
there's something happened there that really drove you towards this.
So yeah, it's a long story, and I'll try to make it as short as possible
No, you're
for
fine. We've got
for
time. We've got
folks.
hours. We've got
Okay.
hours. We're
Oh,
fine. We're
hours.
all
Okay,
right.
great. All right, let me sit down here, kick back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna grab a beer. No.
There you
Um,
go.
so I grew up. I didn't grow up very active. I didn't have a
Mhm.
sport. I didn't do much of anything. I was more into hanging out with my friends and being social, and I never was a very active kid. But when I got to my after college, I guess in my mid 20s, I realized that I wanted to kind of work on my health and fitness, and I was seeing things in the mirror kind of shift a little bit.
Mhm.
Nothing that really had me freaking out, or but I knew that if I was going to age, healthfully or
Yeah.
healthfully, I had to start getting finding some type of exercise that I really enjoyed.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny at that time in my life, in my mid 20s, I was working. You probably don't know this about me. I was working in sports and entertainment marketing in
Okay.
Atlanta, and I worked first for the Goodwill Games. Do you remember the Goodwill
I
Games?
know of it. I
Yeah.
do. I recall. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked initially for the Goodwill Games. I was in
Okay.
marketing, and I got to hang out with a lot of athletes. Remember Dan O'Brien?
Yes.
Remember Dan
Well, the
O'Brien?
name. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. My
Yeah,
goodness.
and
Okay.
just some other. I just remember Dan O'Brien. He was just one of like our big names.
Uh-huh.
But I eventually, after working so I was really inspired by the athletes that I was
Mm.
around, and I got to see Michael Johnson. Remember the sprinter
Yes.
Michael Johnson? I got to be
Yeah.
around him, and I really saw the dedication to their sport. Prior to that, I had worked in cycling. So I worked
Okay.
with the Tour du Pont, which was America's premier cycling race. I was an intern. This was like 95,
Right. Okay.
right, after college. And I was around Lance Armstrong before he
Okay.
became the Lance Armstrong.
Yeah. Before that long,
Yeah.
Lance Armstrong
Yes.
turned up. Okay, we understand.
So I was also around all these athletes, and I was like, Lisa, come on, you got to find something.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with going to the gym. I one day walked into the gym, and I was like, I think I'm going to like it here. And at the time, living in Atlanta, I was young, mid 20s. I was really enjoying the people that I was
Hmm.
working out with. We had a nice community. It kept me going back. I started to see results.
Yeah.
And so at that time, after the Goodwill Games, I moved over and worked for World Championship Wrestling.
Oh, okay. Slight difference.
So
Okay.
very different, but yet still. So all of these events were under Turner Sports. So Ted
Right.
Turner, I worked really for Turner Sports. So
Okay.
I went and worked at World Championship Wrestling. And I woke up one day and I was like, I don't know if this is the career I want to be in. I
Mm.
don't really foresee myself being here. I just, I thought it was fun. I thought it was neat, but I was like, how did I get here? And what am I doing with my life?
Sure.
And what do I want to do? So at that time, I was really getting into the gym and health and wellness, learning more about healthy eating, nutrition, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Decided I wanted to go back to grad school, go to grad school. And so I moved to South Carolina to attend the University of South Carolina to get my master's in public health. And that was an amazing time in my life. I
Hmm.
moved here. I started grad school, became a Carolina Gamecock for those in the States.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's our mascot. And right when I moved here, right when I moved here, within, gosh, 6 weeks of moving here, I met my future husband,
Oh, wow.
um, Billy.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And but it's a long story. We dated. It took us a while to start dating, but he got me into the gym more consistently because he was a personal trainer at the
Right.
time. So that's really when I started to really hit it harder because I had this guy that I was like really tight friends with.
Yeah.
Really hit it off. We had a lot in common. And we would go to the gym together. He's my training partner. And that's really when I learned so much. I became a personal trainer. I got my certification.
Right.
And that's when I started doing pull-ups. I
Right.
started
Is that where it came? That where
doing
it
the
came
pull-ups.
from? And was that? I
Yeah.
mean, I sort of read that on some article because that I assume it's true. But this was a
Yeah.
this sort of target of doing these pull-ups. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. So I've just been, I don't know, I never thought I would be able to do one. And here I am. This is 20 years later.
Yeah.
We're married. We have two kids. I do pull-ups. I do them at home in the kitchen. I have a
Wow.
bar in the kitchen. So it's just been, he challenges me with that still. And we challenge our kids to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pull-ups are kind of like, to me, the ultimate kind of bad, you know,
Yeah.
exercise move.
I think most people have a bar in their kitchen, but it's not one they can pull up from. It's one they
Right.
drink from. That's the problem, I think, by the sound of it.
Yeah.
But
It's right
okay.
next to that one. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, you know, after I was in public health for a while and I
Mhm.
was working with people one on one, I realized a lot of the issues that people were coming in with were mental health issues. Like they were
Hmm.
dealing with feelings, symptoms of depression, anxiety, and I couldn't really do much with that from a public health standpoint except refer them to a therapist.
Sure.
um, the same time in my life, I was going through some stuff
Hmm.
with Billy. We broke up. It was a huge
Hmm.
ordeal. So I went to counseling for the first time in my life at
Okay.
probably age 27, I think,
Okay.
20 years ago,
Wow.
and really loved the process of therapy and dug deep, learned a lot about how I was raised because he and I broke up and I had all kinds of crazy ideas about marriage and what men should do for women and
Okay.
being taken care of. And that's all stemmed from my own stuff from growing up and
Right.
what I was raised with. So I had all these like beliefs. And so, anyway, long story short, I loved the process and decided that I wanted to go back to be a counselor. So
Oh,
I
really?
went
Okay, that
back
sort of
to college.
converted
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
over. Right.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I went
Okay.
back and I got my degree in counselor education.
Okay.
Billy and I did get back together. We got married soon
Good. Okay,
after.
there's a happy
Yeah.
ending to this with the sound of it,
Yeah.
which is great. Good. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
It's important. Good.
So, and I've done a variety of things over the years. For the past 10 years, I've worked primarily with a military population.
Oh, right.
And that's been such an incredible opportunity to
Yeah.
support the military, mainly
Sure.
Army.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then 2 years ago, I had this idea to start a podcast for therapists.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And what's the you can give it a plug. What's the podcast
Oh, sure.
called?
Yeah. So my show is called The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard, and you can
Excellent.
find it on all the podcast platforms, as far as I know.
Excellent.
And I also create continuing education courses for therapists. A lot of the times, therapists, when we all have to have a certain amount of continuing education for our
Sure.
license in our
Yes.
state, and here in the states, our states determine how many hours we need.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of the times when it's non-COVID, you have to you can go to live events and sit in an audience and ask questions. And then you can also do at-home studying. Well, with
Okay.
COVID, our live events pretty much went away, and we had to
Yeah.
get real creative and do them on Zoom and everything, which are still around. But I saw an opportunity to really push for creating information that you could take on the go.
Yes.
So I'm really excited. I don't know of another therapist doing that. So
Okay.
I'm excited to kind of, help my peers
Yeah.
get what they need in their through the earbuds and not so much having to
Right.
sit
Okay.
at a
Right. Because
computer.
because this sort of COVID situation, as we call it,
Hmm.
I think it's, there's talk of a vaccine and all sorts of amazing things going on, but
Hmm.
it's going to take a while to rattle through the economy right now. I think we've got this
Hmm.
sort of situation for a while yet. So that sounds like,
Yeah.
I mean, we've all got used to talking over Zoom now. I think everybody's talking over Zoom. I talk to people in their kitchens and their laundry rooms and bedrooms and all sorts of things, because they're sat at home working, which is fabulous.
I know. I
So
have to be careful.
that's an incredible journey through, from fitness and wrestling through to military support, and so that's a very varied, very varied career. So somebody, I mean, there is a certain age, I think, that we get to, and I've passed that age now of sort of 40-ish, 40 something, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
and we wake up in the morning, we go, this, I'm not where I should be either,
Mhm.
personally, professionally, career wise, relationship wise, or health and fitness wise. And in your experience, as somebody where they're not sort of happy with their
Mhm.
level of health and well-being, what's the number, what sort of challenge do they face? How do they get back into it? What would you
Yeah.
advise? Because there's a lot of people watching this who probably, they have got the bar in the kitchen, but it's the wrong sort. What should they do apart from contact you and your colleagues? But what can they start to do to make a positive change?
Well, I think first of all, define what their goals would be.
Yeah.
You want to say, okay, well, whatever that looks like for you, watching, listening, what would your goals be? Is it whatever that is? I mean, is it to have more energy? Is
Yeah.
it to age more? I don't know what the word is. Healthfully,
Yeah, sure.
healthfully.
But
You
just
know,
to age, to
right, to
achieve an
function,
age.
to feel good, and kind of reverse engineer it, kind of
Yeah,
figure out what the end goal is and what are you willing to do to get there,
yeah,
and then not bite off more than you can chew, because I think
sure.
that we have a tendency to think I can do all these things to get to where, and also people want to complicate it too. They
Hmm.
want to think you have to be keto, or you have to be vegan, or you have to be paleo, or whatever,
Yeah,
or you have to intermittent fast, but you really don't.
right.
If someone's dealing with they want to lose weight, you really just need to you need to create a calorie deficit, whatever
Right.
that looks
Okay.
like for you and what you eat. I, of
Yeah,
course, would want you to be eating as much whole foods as possible, less processed, less packaged foods,
sure.
but also move your body. What You don't have to hit the gym for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, the research shows, I mean, 20-30 minutes a day, you can do body weight exercises.
Hmm.
And what I prefer to do, what I like to do, doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. I just have been doing this for so long. I have it kind of like it's programmed into my
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
So
This is a pattern for you. Yeah.
right. So it
Yeah.
but if I was brand new to it,
Yeah.
and I had kind of hit a slump, and I needed somebody to kind of remind me what I needed,
Hmm.
it would be look at what I'm eating,
Hmm.
get really honest with yourself about what
Yeah.
you're putting in your body,
Hmm.
get your sleep, drink your water, and move your body.
Right.
Those things will help kind of. You're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to sleep better. And, energy begets energy. So you'll find that you'll want to do more with that
Sure.
energy that you're creating for yourself. And I know a lot of women midlife, they find that the spread is happening, and the men say it too, but it's really not. You have to all of a sudden, um, don't be disheartened. Like,
Mm.
there's still hope. Like, you can still
Yeah.
feel amazing in your skin, and get back to feeling really, really good. I think you have to commit to the things that work,
Yeah. Of
and
course. I
you
mean, and
know
does it have interest? I mean, do you find that women and men have a different take, a different priority, a different approach to this? Is there different pressures on women than men, or are these just
yeah.
sort of classic stereotypes that don't really exist?
Well, I mean, I don't, I just can really speak from my experience
Sure.
and from my clients that I've worked with over the years, whether it's perceived or not. It's everybody's unique and individual, and they bring
Sure.
to the table their experiences with this. I think it's more than just how do men and women handle it. It's how do you handle it as an
Mm.
individual, and what are
Yeah.
the messages that the limiting beliefs maybe that you put on yourself, or the
Yeah.
story that you continue to tell yourself over and over again, because you can tell yourself a new story anytime,
Yeah. Of
right?
course. Yes.
But we totally can. Like, we can pivot, and we can tell ourselves a new story at any time. And I think that's what lights me up so much about this work is that when women are mainly I work with women, but
Sure.
when they get that, when they realize it's not too late, I can change, I can do something different, I can,
Yeah.
I see opportunity now. That's where that's when starts to happen for them, and they start
Right.
to kind of shift and try new things, um and but I don't necessarily, I think women, we have this, especially if you're a mom, you have this, I need to do for all these people before I do for myself.
Yeah.
That's there. And I struggle with that because my kids are home doing school
Sure. Yeah.
three, 4 days a week right now. And
Yeah.
so I make an effort. I have to fit my stuff in the
Yes.
pockets of the day.
Sure.
And that seems to change weekly depending on
Yeah.
what's going on with their
Exactly.
schooling.
Yes.
But I'm committed to it because I know it works,
Yes. Okay.
so I think you just have to look at what you're able to do, and let's help you write a new story,
Yes.
change those
Yeah.
limiting beliefs and fit it in when
But it must be possible to do it because you're an
Mhm.
example of how you can do it. You're a busy professional. You're a mom. You're a wife. You've got family. All this going on, and yet you fit it in, around is part of what you do. In
Yeah.
fact, I was asked a question. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. One of my clients up in Luxembourg, and they're nothing to do with health and nutrition. It's not my field specifically, but talking about building their business. They got some great results in their business, and she said to me, she said, are we too old to build a fabulous business now? Have we missed the boat? And I was sort of a bit taken aback because they're 5 years younger than me. And I said, not at all. I don't get it. I don't understand it. To me, success can come at any point in time professionally. But is that
Mhm.
true for fitness and health and well-being? That the best time to get fit was 20 years ago, or today, I guess. But is it ever too late, or should you always just start doing something?
I don't think it's ever too late, but I think you have to be realistic.
Yeah,
I didn't just start this uh, journey to add muscle, when I turned 40.
sure.
That was, I'm 47 now. I started
Mhm.
in 20 some years ago. I started working out in the gym.
Yes,
So I've amassed over time, a love of lifting weights and
sure.
adding muscle and, figuring out that this is the lifestyle that I want to
Mhm.
lead. Um, but no, I don't think it's ever too late. I think you just have to
Yeah.
be realistic.
Yes.
You have
Okay.
to just realize, like, okay, well, you know, and unfortunately, our bodies, as we age, we drop muscle mass,
Yeah.
but you can still build muscle at 40. It's not like you can't build muscle. You
Yeah.
just have to pick up the weight and start doing it. I've seen many
Sure.
transformations of women in their 40s and 50s and beyond who,
Mhm.
didn't pick a weight up until then. So,
Yes.
but it's not like you pick up the weights one time a week.
No, exactly.
You have to
It
be
doesn't work that way, I
consistent with
take
it.
it. Okay.
Right. No, I mean, if it did, we'd all be like Arnold, right?
Absolutely. So much easier, wouldn't it, all around? Goodness sake.
Yeah.
Okay. And what sort of, just out of interest, what sort of transformations have you seen with the work that you do and the
Yeah.
variety without obviously naming any clients, but what
Sure.
sort of transformations have you seen people accomplish with you?
Well, I think it depends on what they come for. So, my favorite ones are, well, my favorite ones. I think the ones that I get most excited about because it kind of parallels my process is
Yeah.
women in their 40s who are maybe successful in what they do, but they're looking to kind of change things up.
Yeah.
And whether they want to add a new income stream,
Hmm.
they pursue that. And I see them, with being able to do that,
Yeah.
whatever that might be for them, or the ones who say, I want to pivot and try something different and I want to kind of switch careers,
Mhm.
which, I think it really depends on the person and responsibilities they have going on in their life. If that's the best for them.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not that we have to shift our careers. We just have to take our skill sets and what we're good at and
Hmm.
find a new opportunity with it. And so those are the ones that I get really excited about because I
Yeah.
love to think outside the box. And I mean, nowadays there's so many possibilities and opportunities, especially with, you can have an online business, you can
Hmm.
have, a consultation agency. I mean, there's so much you can do from your phone or computer or from your
Yeah.
house.
Absolutely. Well, the
Um,
fact we're speaking across the
yeah,
Atlantic and time zones and that sort of thing is just a testament to that, I think.
yeah.
So what just again, what just out of interest, what in your
Mhm.
experience, what stops people doing this? Is it their narrative they tell themselves?
Yeah.
Because, is it that, I'm heavy boned and I've got a low metabolism, all this sort of rubbish
Oh
that
yeah.
people come out with? Is it the narrative that has to change first and just make a decision, or, why don't
Yeah,
you do it more?
I think a lot of it is the narrative. I think it's the
Hmm.
limiting beliefs. I also think that we have to stop worrying about what other people think about our decisions.
Hmm.
For a lot of
Yeah,
people,
interesting.
a lot of people midlife, that's not so hard. For me, it
Yes.
wasn't very hard. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very lucky that I have a very supportive spouse.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about ideas. I definitely have worked with women whose partners have not been as supportive. So there's
Yeah.
that whole thing that we have to kind of work through
Mhm.
and work around and work through together. There goes one of my kids. So, but yeah, I do think,
Perfect. It's
and I
perfect.
also, I also think, um, I also think that sometimes we get our values kind of
Mm.
out of alignment.
Yes.
Um, so I like to kind of, when I'm working with somebody, what are your values? Like,
Mm.
why are you doing this? Why do
Yeah.
you want to pivot? Why do you want to start this new thing? Why do you want to add that extra income? Why?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's purely, I need the money, financial,
Sure. Yeah.
flexibility, financial freedom. There's nothing wrong with that. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, that's a wonderful why to have if you want
Absolutely.
to create
Yeah.
more freedom in your bank account. There
You
goes
have to
one.
get the. I'll be
Yeah,
on
there
Zoom
goes
in a
one.
second.
Yeah. Um, so I think getting very clear on your why,
Yeah.
we've all heard that, but
Okay.
to me, it's more about aligning with your values.
Hmm.
So, for example, one of the things that's really important to me is family first. I say that
Mm.
a lot. If it doesn't,
Yeah.
if it gets in the way of being able to put my family first, then it's going to be a no. You
Yes.
know.
Quite rightly
Um,
so. Absolutely. But these are the values that people need to
mhm,
rank in importance, aren't they, as
yeah.
well?
But everybody's values are different.
Yeah.
So another one of my values is optimal and vibrant health.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
does that mean for me to achieve that, I have to go to the gym 3 hours a day?
Hmm.
No.
No.
That means that I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to get my sleep. I'm going to, I'm going to be aware of my thoughts, feelings, and actions, and I'm going to
Hmm.
own it. And so we get really clear on what are the values and
Hmm.
how are you living them out every day,
Yeah.
because we can easily say we value all these things, but if we're not in alignment with them, then it gets out of sort and gets out of whack. And
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
that's
because I see this. I think in what I do, which is more on the business and development side, that
mhm,
people they may have values, but they have to participate in those values as well. They have to
right,
align with them. It's one thing having a poster on the wall saying
right,
something, but it has to show up in what they do on a daily
right,
basis. And the
right.
same thing must happen in the
Yeah.
health and well being as well.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
And a lot of the times when I start to feel kind of defeated or self defeat or
yeah,
whatever's going on with me, I go back, okay, what's going on here? Like,
mm,
why do I have these feelings today? What's out of whack? What do I need to work on? Where
yeah,
do I need to kind of bring my energy back to? And
hmm,
yeah, so it can, I think that has a lot to do with it as well. And having a good support system is really,
yeah.
really key. And I know that I think may have mentioned this, was, are you taking advice from people who have what you want?
Absolutely.
Are you surrounding yourself around people that have that can mentor and can help,
Yeah,
who've been through it as well and can really guide and support you?
absolutely.
Um, there's a lot of people out there that have that, and
Yeah.
they can help you. And so don't take advice or feel like you have to listen to people who are kind of doing the opposite of what you want. They're
Absolutely.
usually not very happy
Yeah,
people.
but I mean, I see them. You must see this as well, where you have people
Mhm,
where they have advisors and guides around,
mhm,
which are all very good. But sometimes it's their family, it's their friends, their social group, and
mhm.
and we've found this as well. Lynn and I have been together now for, gosh, 41, nearly 42 years now. My goodness, I am so old. But anyway,
Congratulations.
oh, thank you very much. But but we found over our lives that some people, I mean, also people do one or two things: either they hold you up or they hold you back.
Right,
And if they hold you up and they support and guide and mentor and move you forwards, great. That's where we want to go. But they hold you back,
right.
intentionally or otherwise, you do need to sort of let them go a little bit and move on. That can be quite tough,
It
especially if
is.
it's family or relatives, whatever it is. And that can be quite difficult for people to make the break and make this
Yeah.
positive shift as well, I would have thought.
Yeah, yeah, and come to think of it, over the years, as you were saying that, um before I met Billy,
Mhm.
I probably a lot of my influence was coming around my friends, the
Mhm.
people that I
Yeah.
would hang out with, that I would work with. And there wasn't a whole lot of, it was like status quo is okay.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly,
we can just
exactly,
kind of
yeah.
hang out here. Why do you want for more? We're doing good. Like, this is what our lives are. And I knew that I wanted more. I knew I
Yeah.
needed more.
Mhm.
And then when it came in the when I met Billy, I'd never met anybody like him before. And
Wow.
he really kind of I remember the day I met him and just like walking away from meeting him being like, I've never met a guy like that before.
Wow.
And he
We've
definitely
got to
made an
meet Billy at
impact
some
on
point. We've
me.
got to get Billy on the
Yeah.
call, for goodness sake. People are going, who's this guy? Billy? He sounds tremendous. This is great.
Yeah, and it's funny because I joke, but we've been married, gosh, we'll be married 15 years, and we've been together, known each other 20 some years. And like,
Congratulations.
I mean, oh, thank you. Now he's Billy, like now he's my husband, and now I'm
Yeah.
used to him. But at the time, I think it just goes to show, like, I hadn't met a man like that.
Hmm.
Someone who I felt heard and seen.
Yeah.
And so I think that tells you that a lot about who I was up until that point.
Sure.
And sometimes it takes another person to see that in us before we see it ourselves.
Yes.
And I think that's what he's done for me. Now that we're
Yeah.
married, been together a while, I'm like, whatever. Like, let me think about that. It's not like that magical moment when I first met him, but
Sure.
it's, I value his opinion, and I value his his belief system.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's what I needed,
Yeah.
and it helped me grow up
Yeah.
in my 20s. And
But you had to
so,
make, I think one of the things I think you made the move, then you
mhm,
met Billy, if you like. And I think a lot of
right,
people, they don't make the move, or they don't make the
right,
change or the leap. And they have this, maybe this belief, this narrative that they're never going to meet the right
yeah,
person or the guide or the coach, whatever it
right,
is. But they stay put. They don't
yeah,
take the risk of moving, because
right,
I guess you had no idea when you moved you would meet Billy. I mean, but you
right,
did. But that
yeah,
you have to make the move first before the magic happens, don't you? As well, that can
right,
maybe,
yes.
that risk or that fear can perhaps
Yeah.
stop people doing it in the first place.
Yeah, and so I think that's such a great parallel to, a lot of stuff going on in my life right
Yeah, of
now,
course.
is kind of
Yeah,
trust this process and trust the timing of things that are presenting itself. And
yeah.
as much as this whole year has been
It's
insane,
been an interesting one, hasn't it?
yeah, it's also been pretty phenomenal for opportunities and for
Yeah.
connecting and for kind of, this quote comes to mind. I think it's a Wayne Dyer quote,
Mhm.
is when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Absolutely.
And
Yes, agree.
so that's been a big reframe for me for the past, over here
Yeah.
in the States, this past week with this election, first of all,
Yeah.
but also
No,
with like
let's not talk about
with
politics, but
yeah,
I know
no, we won't talk about
exactly
it.
what you mean.
But with the pandemic,
Yeah.
that really, really hit me,
Yeah.
probably about 2 months ago, when
Right.
I was able to kind of see, wow,
Yeah.
opportunities are presenting.
Absolutely.
Do I
Yeah.
see them as opportunities, or do I see them as problems? So,
Exactly. It's just,
yeah,
but it's just a reframe, isn't it? I think,
yeah.
and I see that. Oh, hence, we've connected through our
Mhm.
common friends and colleagues,
Yeah.
and this sort of thing. And I see it with the work that I do with my business clients and everything like that. And it's really interesting that we had I know you popped on the workshop last week, and the next one is this Thursday as
Mhm.
well. And the common feedback that we get is when all these people get together from literally all over the world, is everybody says, well, everybody's the same. They're a great bunch of people, but they're very similar in their
Yeah.
outlook. They might be from the UK or from the US, whatever it is,
Mhm.
but there's a similarity there. And then, well, guess what? Yeah, of course there is, because that similarity is what actually generates the magic. So you've got to hang out with the right people
Right.
and be prepared. There is opportunity everywhere, but it's a belief thing, I think, as well.
Yeah.
If you look for it, then you'll see it, and then you'll recognize it too.
Right. Yes, I love the group. That was a great
They're a
call
good
last
bunch,
week.
aren't they? They're a good bunch. They're a
Yeah,
good
and
bunch.
it was interesting because I remember walking away from that saying the same thing, like, gosh, we're very similar,
Yeah,
It's a
exactly. Yeah, this did.
we're humans, and we have
Yeah,
this common theme, of what we all hope and want to create for ourselves. And
absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
that's really exciting when you get around people. I remember being so energized after that call, like just ready to like go
Yeah,
conquer everything. And I
yeah,
think I did. I think after that call, actually, I got pretty productive and I was like, well, I'm just going to get at it
great.
and I'm going to do what I need to do. And I'm going to send these.
There you go. I'm going to make the call, make the phone, and just do it.
Yeah.
And get absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I love what I do, because I get the same
Yeah.
energy from when I do
Yeah.
it. I wouldn't tell it to
Right.
everybody, but I get the same sort of energy because it's that sort of vibrancy. But it comes back to this. It is the people that you hang out with,
Mhm.
that inspire you or hold you up or hold you back, whatever it is.
Right.
And that's probably one of the biggest things for me. We've like yourself. We've moved. We've lived in the USA for a while. Well, we lived in Las Vegas, which really isn't the USA. I know that now, but anyway, we've lived in the US for a while, and people say to us, "Why would you go to the US? Why do you now live in France? You must be crazy." And I think we are, but then we want to hang out with all the crazy people that want to
Right.
do these sort of things. It is just hanging out with the right people, but the same thing applies. So
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
next? And so you got a fabulous career and business and family, and please say hi to Billy for us. He sounds
Yeah.
amazing. But what's next for Lisa
Yeah.
Masterden now? What's next?
Well, that is a great question. I recently have just decided to help other, and
Hmm.
I don't, I'm kind of, I'm going to probably stick with women because I work best with women.
Okay.
I'm not saying I wouldn't work with men, but other women who are looking to create a podcast, and
Right.
create and make a bigger impact, whatever their passion is.
Yeah.
I'm probably best suited for maybe other therapists who
Okay.
have decided that they want to kind of step away maybe from the hourly fee that they charge and they want to create something new. I
Okay.
truly believe creating a podcast is an amazing way to
Hmm.
grow your brand and to get your message out there. I have seen it just over the past almost 2 years of doing this. Just
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And so other therapists, and then also just other women who have something, a mission, a vision. They're not quite sure. They know they want to get something out there. They're
Yeah.
not sure. So I have some calls set up to kind of help them figure out like what their message is and what they want to accomplish. Podcasting is not something that you do, like, it's not free. You have to definitely pay for well, I pay for an editor, you pay for
Sure.
a hosting service, you have to pay for, there's a lot of expenses that can go into podcasting, and a
Sure.
lot of people, the it's a lot of energy and time to figure out how to podcast.
Sure.
And so I kind of went through all that. And so there's a couple different ways we can just consult, and I can, give you some insight and some feedback, or
Hmm.
I can do it all for you
Right. Okay. So
for
there's a
this,
whole range of
like
from start
develop
to
it and
finish.
manage it kind of thing, depending on what you have time for.
Right. Okay.
Because it's a lot to learn.
Absolutely. It is a
So
brave new world, isn't it, for a lot of people as well? Just the term podcast or recording or whatever it is
yeah.
can put some people off to a certain extent. So,
But I
okay,
think
fab.
there's a lot of ways to do it. There's so many, and the more niche down you can get it,
Yeah.
the better. So
Okay.
I just, I'm heading in that direction, I think, and it's been a lot
Fabulous.
of fun, and I love connecting with people and interviewing them and getting their insight and helping other people, not with just information, but how to give you
Yes.
really the
Okay.
know-how
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So we always begin to wrap it up a little bit, but
Yeah.
overall, then, if there are people, hopefully people listening to this, maybe men or women of a certain age, what would be what top three tips? Which is a very tough question, I know that. What three bits of advice or guidance or tips would you give to people that are clearly inspired by what you do and what you've said?
Mhm.
But what would your advice be? Top three tips.
Well,
No
that's
pressure.
okay. So imposter syndrome is going to kick in, and you're going to think that who are you to
Ah,
do this?
yeah,
So we
interesting.
all go through that. I still
Yeah,
go through it. Like, who am I to do this? But do
wow,
it anyway. Do it anyway.
great. Yeah, love it.
Fear, feel the fear and do it anyway. And don't
Mhm.
worry about being an imposter. There are going to people, it depends on what your goal is, but you're not going to please everybody. So don't worry about that. Just,
Yeah.
think about who you want to serve
Mhm.
and how you can help them and the problems that they have, and how can you help them solve their problems.
Mhm.
And then the third one would be, Oh, I guess if the third one would be if you're not quite sure what that looks like, then find me at my website and just book a 25-minute call, I guess.
Fabulous. That is, I love it. This is good. You're good. You're good at this. This is great. I love it. It's great.
But I think the third one would be, you gotta start somewhere. You're gonna
Yeah.
be a beginner, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to be a beginner. I mean, gosh, if you e be a beginner, but have the excitement, don't lose the enthusiasm because that is
Yeah.
what is going to carry you forward.
Hmm.
And you're gonna have days when you're like, "Whoa, why am I doing this? This is so much. I don't know what I'm doing." But
Absolutely.
don't stay in that thought process too
Hmm.
long.
Yeah.
Really work to to kind of flip the switch
Yeah.
and pump yourself up and know that you have a message and you have a voice and it's important,
Yep.
especially now. Your voice
Absolutely.
is important. And you can do this. There's so many ways you can get your message out. It's almost overwhelming now
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
think.
It is almost
Mhm.
too much instead of an overload,
Yeah.
isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
something that I've seen, I guess you see this and maybe experienced it, is that it's okay to ask for help. Because I know one
Mm.
of the narratives that I had for a number of years was I've got to figure this out myself. This is me. I've got to
Right.
work at it. I've got to figure it out. And then that's draining. And then you realize you can actually ask for some help or get
Right.
a guide or a coach or a mentor or whatever it
Right.
is. And it just becomes clear and it saves so much time, so much time and effort rather than
Yeah.
figure it all out from scratch. So yeah, get help
Yeah.
and take some advice and guidance and learn from other people who've been there, before you doing what you want to do, have been there before you
Yeah.
as well. So
For sure.
so again, so people watching this, I'm sure they've been inspired. How can they contact Lisa Mustard? Oh, by the way, just real quick, you
Mhm.
mentioned your name mustard, the sauce, the mustard you put on
Yeah.
hot dogs. Well, in the UK, mustard it is the the hot sauce you put onto hot dogs and things like that. But actually, if you say somebody is mustard, it means they are excellent, they're brilliant, they're amazing. So if you get somebody who's a
Really?
mustard footballer or whatever it is, they're brilliant at it. So it's a perfect name for marketing in the UK anyway. It transfers really well. But anyway,
That's
so
great.
what?
Good
So,
to know.
so how can people get in touch with you? Book some time to talk to you.
Sure.
Get in touch. What's the best way of contacting?
So the best way is probably just to go to my website, which is lisamustard.com. And
Okay.
when you click on the About Me page, you'll see a link to book a 25-minute call.
Mhm.
You can send me a message on LinkedIn. You can send me a message on Facebook.
Okay.
And I'll get back to you, as soon as I can. And it's probably my email is really easy. It's hello@lisamustard.com. You can send me an email
Hello
also.
at lisamustard.com.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it's been a joy. I do genuinely appreciate your time. The joy of what I do is I get to hang out with people like you on a regular basis. So I appreciate your time. It's been really interesting and compelling, and for people watching as well, and for people who are listening and watching, please get in touch with Lisa just to say hi, just say thanks for the content,
Oh,
or book that 25-minute consultation. I'll be back in a few days' time with another person to speak with. But for now, Lisa, thank you. I really good appreciate your
oh,
time.
you're
Have a fabulous
welcome.
week, and
Thank you.
we'll speak soon. But for now, take care and have a great week. And bye for now.
Okay. Bye bye. Thanks, Dave.
All right, my pleasure.